I'm Blaine, I'm a service technician, going to be doing your video walk for you. We'll step inside and get started here. So, majority of the controls for this unit are on the end cabinet here. So, main light switch and then dimmer switch for them as well. All the rest of the lights that aren't turning on or off with that, so like the ones under cabinetry, stuff like that, are just going to be at the light itself. And then below that is your control panel. So left hand side is going to be all parameters for like our holding tanks, batteries, stuff like that. And then we've got our switches here. Water pumps only going to be used at like state parks or dry camping. You'd fill the fresh tank up, turn the pump on to get it from tank to fixtures. If you are on a full service site using city water connection, you don't need the pump on. And then we do have tank heaters. You just want to be mindful that we have at least a third of liquid in them holding tanks before turning them on. Same concept as a water heater. If you have them on without water in it, can damage that element. And then awning light switch is here as well. So that's going to be the LED strip running full length of the awning. And then bottom switches is going to be our slide extend retract and then awning extend retract. With the slide box, you always want that fully extended or retracted. Just like today, we bring it in a little bit, and then we're actually outside instead of the shop. It's raining today. You'd start having water coming into the unit, so you always want your slide fully extended or retracted. Then above that is radio. It's Bluetooth, so turn it on. You'd be able to pair to it, listen to music, and then your A and B are going to be your zones for inside and outside speakers there. Then front of the unit's pretty straightforward. Sleeping storage area up front, so the bed does fold up. And then you have a little bit of access for underbed storage. The recept on the left-hand side here, that is a GFI recept. That is the GFI for our inverter circuit. So if you see any plug-in with a yellow sticker like that, is going to be on the inverter, and that is the GFI for that circuit. So like both the ones by the bed, there's a couple back in the kitchen, the one for the TV, stuff like that will all be controlled through that recept there. Then safety features, fire alarm is here, 9-volt battery operated, so you will have to replace battery in that from time to time. The fire extinguisher is right inside the door there. Same thing, it's got a sight window on it, so if that yellow arrow ever goes into the red, this means it has discharged and expired. And then LPCO2 detector is down here by our bathroom. So that's what that one is. That is wired directly to the battery of the camper, so as long as that's charged, that's going to be operating. Then entertainment area, TV is already hooked up to the satellite on it. It is not travel clipped in, so before transport, just make sure you are clipping that in. Otherwise, that TV can start swinging around on you there. And we do have another light there as well. And then heater seating, the switches for them are on the sides of the armrest there, and then we've got heat, massage, and then lights on it as well. And then to recline it down is going to be on that pull handle right there. Then another switch here for the seat or lights above the seating, also on dimmer switch. And then this fridge is a 12-volt compressor driven fridge, so that is going to run off the batteries the whole time. Doing longer road trips, when you plug 7-way into the tow vehicle, that will start charging the batteries going down the road, allowing this fridge to run that way as well. This one, a long press of the power button is what turns it off or on, and then the like snowflake one, short pressing it is what goes through temp setting. 5 is going to be your coldest, and then 1 will be warmest. And then freezer adjusts at the back of the freezer itself. And then kitchen area, pretty straightforward. Microwave is a 110 appliance, and then everything down from that would be able to run off 12 volts. So that vent fan and then light, and then stovetop. Fold the glass surface up, and then pick a burner. You'd be able to ignite it. So that only rotates to the right, and that ignites for all 3 burners as well as the pilot in our oven. Then you do have lights on that as well. And then cold air turn for furnace is here, and then any duct in the flooring is going to be heat output. And then for our ducted air conditioner, that's going to be through like vents in the ceiling like that. And then you can open it up at the AC itself to come out there. Then both of them are controlled through the thermostat. Again, it's kind of by the bathroom here. So short press to wake it up. Sorry, these ones are long press. And then short press of that is going to go through your settings. So heat, fan, and then dry really just runs the air conditioners like a dehumidifier. And then cool would be AC. Then whatever setting you're on, you're going to be able to set your temperature. While running the air conditioner, before you go to transport, make sure you are shutting it off. If you were to leave the air conditioner running, go outside and unplug the unit. You get to the next campground, plug it in, can start damaging the board, thermostat, stuff like that. So always shut that off before transporting. Then light switch for the bathroom is the blue switch outside the door here. And then bathroom, pretty straightforward in here. Only two things we got would be the controller for our water heater. So this is an on-demand system. Be able to turn it on, set whatever temperature we're trying to achieve. As long as we had water and gas hooked up, anytime we open a hot fixture, is going to provide that temperature at the fixture itself. And then during winterize, dewinterize, make sure it's shut off. There is no bypass valves on it, so if you leave it turned on set to 120 degrees, every time we're winterizing a hot fixture, it will boil that antifreeze through the system. This is going to be the other GFCI, so anything not labeled with that yellow sticker as an inverter will be controlled through this one. So you do have the two separate GFIs, so depending on what circuit's not having power, you would have to go to either one of those. And then kind of hidden here is going to be power distribution and or converter. So left hand side is going to be all of your 110 operations, so air conditioner, microwave, plug-ins. The right hand side is going to be all your 12 volt, so water pumps, slide outs, lights, stuff like that. They are all labeled, and then so is the 110 circuits. This one is an auto detect converter, so if you put lithium batteries on it, automatically detects that. You don't have to switch the charge rate for it. And then as far as interior, I think that covers most everything in here.
We out!
Step outside of the exterior. Exterior unit with these style steps, we just want to make sure our black threshold is level with the silver one under it as we can. So just like today, there is no gap there. If we were to start camping, we had them up. I can get my finger into that gap. That is going to make to where this door don't want to close over the top of the case. You can also damage that hinge while walking on them that way. These ones just got a little silver tab. I don't know, these ones have the handles. So that handle there is just going to be able to pull up, and that's what allows it to go through the teeth so that it can adjust for your height. Nothing hid behind door on this one. Exterior of the water heater, there's not a lot going on with these ones because, like I said, there's no bypass valve, there's no tank, so we don't have a drain plug or an anoid rod. We do have a power switch here. If that's flipped down, that is going to be the off position. The monitor inside is not going to turn on. If we experience where that is on, the monitor is still not coming on inside. There's a little glass fuse right here. Just pull and replace that and everything will work as it should. And then power awning, didn't go over a whole lot, showed you where the switch was for it. Just be mindful, this is only rated for 15-mile-an-hour max wind, so if you're gonna like leave the campground or go to bed at night, just roll that thing in, and that way it's not in your neighbor's yard when you wake up. Rear of the unit, spare tire, and then camera prep on rear of the unit. This is going to be a tank vent, so I believe that one's the fresh tank vent. So if you have your fresh tank filling and water is coming out of there, as full as that's ever going to get. And then this power cord will be going with you today. So from our point here to where I'm plugged into the red piece on our shop cord there, I believe it's 25 or 30 foot in length. That is your cord going with you guys. And then ladder is nice. Just make sure you are maintaining seals on this unit. I always recommend, at least like beginning or end of season, get up there, check your seals, make sure nothing's starting to leak. And then we already have slide topper on, so you don't have to worry about when you're rolling your slide in, making sure there's nothing on that, because as that slide's going in, it rolls opposite the slide and it's just going to dump sticks or leaves or anything off the side of it. And under here, where I'm hooked up to the hose, that is going to be your termination. So gray handle on the right hand side is going to be your gray tank. Left hand side with the black handle will be black tank. And then there is an orange light above it. The switch for that is in the front storage compartment. I'll show you that. So if you get to a campground later, you'd still be able to kind of see what you're doing back here without holding a flashlight or something like that. Steal that foam from Brandon real quick so you can see this other solar panel. So we did get the second panel added on. So the taller one back there is going to be the factory panel. Then this one is the other panel added on. Then they all come into our solar plug right there. Hand that back to Brandon so I can climb down. Unlock that wheel down there. And inside compartment here, this is going to be all your water hookups. So very top one's going to be for winterize. Thread a hose in here and then turn your winterize on. You'd then be able to winterize all fixtures that way. And then hooking up to your city water connection here. If we're on normal flow, is going to allow us to run fixtures off of the city water. If we're trying to fill the fresh tank, we would turn this valve to fill, hook your hose up here, and that's going to fill your fresh tank. And then down from there is the black tank flush. What the yellow sticker explains is we have to have our termination valve open that we just discussed back there. If you have that tank closed off, pumping water in here, the only spot it's going to come out is the vent on the roof or the toilet inside the unit. So be mindful of that. And then on this side, that disconnect switch is going to be for our solar disconnect. That one is actually labeled there. The blue box is going to be your solar controller. And then the big white box is going to be our inverter for the unit. And then just past that, that disconnect there is going to be for our inverter. So like during storage or not in use, I'd just disconnect it so we don't have a draw with our inverter here. Up front, this is another battery disconnect. So this one disconnects power from the battery to the camper. So again, in storage, stuff like that, I'd disconnect it. And then our cables are two big leads coming out of the front of the unit. The one marked red is going to be the positive for inverter. The one that's black is going to be your negative for the inverter. And then these are going to be the main power for the camper. So again, red's positive, black's going to be your negative. And then we are still waiting on batteries, so that's why we're running it off my test battery right now. But once we get our batteries, they'll be set here and all that will be hooked up for you. Then two brand new tanks. So brand new full tanks ready to go. These ones do have the sight window on it, so it actually tells you when it's like full or empty. LP gas does have to be shut off for transport, so be mindful of that. And then 7-way plug here is going to connect into our tow vehicle. That pin in particular is a charge line, so once plugged into the truck, that'll charge your battery, letting the fridge, stuff like that run. You never want to be plugged into the truck and the trailer at the same time. So just like today, we're plugged at 30-inch service. If your truck was here and we plugged it in, we're now double feeding that service. It can amp out and damage wiring of the tow vehicle. And then safety chains and breakaway cable will have to be hooked up as well during transport. And this side is sorted. This is where our switches are. So like I was saying, This one's for the LED strip above. One of these was for cap lights. The other one is going to be that orange one on the over our termination valve. So unfortunately they're not labeled, but once you start using them, you'll know which one goes where. And then you can extend and retract awning from out here as well. So that's what that rocker switch is going to be, is to operate awning from outside. And then back at the beginning, so hopefully this video is helpful. If you do have any questions on anything, reach out to us. Brandon can find me. We can get you answers on stuff. Thank you for your business, guys.